Let's discuss. Hey everyone, it's Rachel back again with another video, and today I will be checking out the title track off of Revaira's new EP, Loss. I covered the last single that they did on the channel, and I've covered quite a bit of the band on the channel at this point in time. They are a band that I love hearing new music from. This is no different. Of course, I will link the lyric video I'll be using in the reaction portion of this, as well as all the band's support links, social media, in the description of this video. I'm going to stop talking, and we are going to get straight into it. Interesting. Ooh. Some really different vibes from some of the synth here. We'll talk about it at the end. That's what it reminds me of a little bit. It's got a little bit of the party vibe on a sad song. Ooh.
myself
Oh. Huh. Revaira, Loss. Let's discuss. This is a really interesting track, not necessarily something I expected in terms of the synth work and stuff on this, which drives a lot of this track. It's a huge, like, attention grabber, or like one of those things that is like the main attraction, or not necessarily main attraction, but as you like step away from your first listen, the thing that left the biggest impression, I would say. And at the same time, as it kind of like feels like diving into different territory, it's almost like bringing Revaira in with the chorus, with the sad lyrics on this, other than there is a glimmer of hope, I feel like, in part of it, because it's like, will you be the one to catch me when I fall? But a lot of this is like sad. It reminds me of almost like the term crying in the club. Like this would be that, because there are parts of it, like I mentioned, that sound like fist bumpy. There's a lot of synth work that pulls from outside of the sound they have in this song. Otherwise, like if you removed the synth from it and listened to it without it, it would probably sound really weird, because it is such a big part of the song, but you get what I'm saying. So at the same time as it feels different and it has like this, you know, electronic, industrial type of approach, at the same time it's still got that sadness to it. Parts of it, like that first pre-chorus, has some really beautiful guitar in it, so the attractions kind of vary. And then the breakdown, bringing in those synth sounds, of course that would be an expectation if it had a breakdown that was just like, you know, straight up guitars and heaviness. That would be very weird for this track. So kind of fusing together the sounds that they're going for here and still having what feels like a Revaira chorus to me, that's a big check, like checking of my box, or however you want to word it, with this track, because I've talked a lot in my videos that I've done about Revaira, and their vocalist is a very, very talented vocalist, and a lot of the choruses, like I bring up Heart Eater almost every time, but that is my absolute favorite chorus that they have done. I love the track Bloom. I bring that up every time too, because even though Heart Eater has my favorite chorus they've ever done, Bloom is my favorite track that they've ever done. Some of the stuff that I feel drew me to those releases, like the feeling of like the soundscapes and some of like the approach that I've now learned that they used with writing. I'm not sure what they're doing now in terms of writing, because this does feel like the focus has shifted a little bit, rather than like having all of those sort of moments where it's like very overwhelmingly kind of atmospheric or ambient. It goes into much different places. I don't think that was something I felt quite as much as I did with the singles post in between, as I do with this EP. And even there was a bit of a shift with the standalone singles versus the stuff that was on the last EP. So it seems like they go into each release with like a focus. And with this one, it was not the closing track off of this that I had really expected, because nothing else in the release really had that sort of feel that the synth gives in this track. So at the same time as that's like a big portion of the track, the vocals accompany so many different sounds, because when you go into the heavier stuff that Revaira has done in their discography, they can tap into that, or they can do something like this where, of course, I mentioned the breakdown, it has its heavier moments, but the overall feeling and takeaways that you have after the first listen of the track, I wouldn't necessarily say that's where it lies, or at least for me and the way that I interpreted or took in this track after my first listen. So very stuck on the synth work, and that kind of being the thing that sticks out to me, having that sort of breakdown too, like I want to say there's something that it reminds me of a little bit, just because there has been more of an increase of stuff like with North Lane's Obsidian, the stuff that Void of Vision is doing, bringing in these types of sounds, but Revaira definitely does it in a way that I think sounds like them and not necessarily anyone else, especially because what I've talked about with the vocals, having details like that first like pre-chorus that's in this track that I was talking about, that has some really beautiful leads in there. Stuff like that gives it the feeling that I'm talking about, that I don't kind of contradicts what I said, because at the same time as I don't think that, a track like Bloom is very much on the money with what I was just talking about a few minutes ago, saying that, that feels like there's so much atmosphere there. They talked about, I think it was shortly after that track came out, where they were talking about the writing process being their vocalists working, I believe, on like the soundscapes and stuff like that. And then the lyrics coming from all of the band and being put in out, stuff like that. And this, I would be curious to find out if that's still how they're writing these tracks, because the focus feels a little bit different. But I don't think the band's sound has like widely changed from that, if that makes sense. There's a very specific feeling that the tracks around the time that interview came out, that they did, that I'm talking about with the writing process and stuff, that feel that way. And these, I think it would be worth asking probably if there's been a shift in the focus kind of there, the writing process. But nonetheless, a huge chorus on this track. You have like a very electronic feeling breakdown portion. You have some synth work that really drives the track. I don't know that something like this will end up being a track that I prefer over something like Heart Eater or Bloom. Well, I pretty much am sure that it won't be, just because those are like, almost feel like stuff that's built around like my exact taste. A lot of the stuff I go for is that way, but this has little pieces of what I loved about those parts. Like I mentioned, each release from the band has felt focused differently. So with each piece of the band, I feel like there is a piece present in this song as well. So maybe after more listens to becoming familiar with it, has the chorus style I'm looking for from the band and such, it may be a grower as well. It's nothing that I dislike on first listen to. I think what it is kind of adjusting to that same thing that happened for me with North Lane's Obsidian and stuff. I don't listen to a ton of electronic music. It immediately reminds me not of anything else I listen to, but of like being at a club or something and having that dun 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 dun, dun, like this. I can't do the synth that I'm going for. Well, probably did not land with you at all, but that's what it reminds me of. So for my listening, it takes adjustments and stuff, and I think I'd have a better idea of how I feel about this song after more time and those things becoming more familiar. But there's nothing that put me off about this track. There's nothing I really would want to see differently, because I think with the tracks that they've laid down, they have stayed in, within bounds. Like I mentioned, it feels different with focus-wise with each of the songs, but I do think from the outside, people getting into the band and such, there is a chance of some of the stuff sounding somewhat similar and nothing that really goes into different territory, while this song feels more like pushing those limits and those bounds of what this band is capable of. So for that reason, even though it's not going to be for me better than Bloom or Heart Eater, it's still moving in the right direction and a track that I will revisit a bunch and probably end up, I think it will be a grower for me, the same as a lot of stuff when I first, because I wasn't like put off at all by the synth. It was more like surprising, and when you have that surprise factor on your first listen, I think then that's when it takes like an excited surprise too. Sometimes the surprise factor is not a good thing. It's like, what is going on with this track? In that case, that's much different than what I'm talking about here. But with this and the like kind of exciting surprise factor with straight from the intro too, and then bringing that even into the lead up to that last chorus and stuff, there's just some creative approaches, I suppose, is the shorter way to kind of wrap this up. So those are my thoughts after first listen. I think it's a solid track. I think Revaira continues kind of, moving their sound forward, and kind of, it feels like they're trying different things with their approaches, but I have no way of knowing that. No idea. So let me know what you thought of this track, of the EP. Which track is your favorite off of it? I will need some time with it before I know, but eventually I'll probably end up speaking about Revaira again, and I can let you know when whatever video that will be. I will link all of their social media, the lyric video I used in the reaction portion of this. All that will be in the description of this video, as well as my link tree, which will have the invite for the Discord server, my Twitch channel, my Patreon. Any link you need related to my channel, it'll be in that link tree. The Discord server is where the community is based for my YouTube channel. Patreon, I offer a bunch of different things in each tier. We're doing voting right now for different things people want to see at the end of the year list for 2023. Breakdowns, riffs, of course, albums, EPs, songs, stuff like that. So if you want to come chat about that stuff, it's available for all tiers. It's just under the tag of list. And I'm offering a bunch of other stuff there as well. Twitch is where I do all my live streaming, including my Tuesday request streams. I do them every week at 1 p.m. Mountain Time, which is 3 p.m. on the East Coast, and 7 p.m. GMT. So if you want to be notified when I go live, see what kind of music-related streaming I am doing, feel free to give my Twitch in the link tree in the description a follow. As always, thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it.